We're going to go ahead and get started. We are going to be recording this session, so if any of you have to leave early or you have someone from your team who's coming in late, don't worry, we'll be recording this and posting it on the website later so that you will have a chance to review it. So my name is Brandon. I'm the marketing director here at QuoteWerks, and today we're going to be demonstrating how you can use QuoteWerks and the SugarCRM integration to take your important sales data from QuoteWerks and directly input that information into SugarCRM, which is a click of a button. So everything's going to be streamlined and integrated and very easy to use. We're going to go over a brief kind of PowerPoint presentation, just kind of go over what we plan to accomplish today and also show you the integration as well. If you do have any questions, there is a questions box in the GoToMeeting box down there. So if you do have questions, feel free to submit your questions in there, and I'll be sure to answer them. If I don't answer you right away, don't worry. I will take time at the end of the meeting to make sure that I do answer everyone's questions. So if you do have questions, feel free to populate them in there. And if I don't respond immediately, like I said, don't worry. We'll definitely get to them before the end of the day. So today, we're going to go over kind of what is QuoteWerks. So a lot of you probably haven't seen QuoteWerks before or just aren't completely familiar with what it can do. So we'll definitely be discussing that, kind of who uses QuoteWerks. We also have some nice diagrams for you, just some of the workflows, kind of gives you a visualization of how to use the software, just makes it easier to kind of understand what we're trying to accomplish. And then the available resources on the website, we have a ton of information on the website that's available to you for free. So feel free to access that information as well. And then finally, we'll do the demonstration of the features of how you can use QuoteWerks with our workflow information and sending everything over to Sugar and having those two systems easily integrated. So what is QuoteWerks? QuoteWerks is a sales quoting and proposal software solution. So basically, we streamline creating quotes and proposals for your clients. We have over 76,000 users in over 100 countries and been around for over 20 years. So there's a lot of people actually using QuoteWerks around you. What we're able to do is create, deliver, and close these detailed professional quotes and proposals in just a few minutes. So you're actually able to create these documents just a few minutes because we're using these templates. Being on the marketing side, being able to simply reproduce your documents over and over so you have brand awareness, so your everything is uniform. That's going to be very important, and this is an extension of your company. You know, when you're sending out a quote or proposal, it's an extension of your products and services that you offer. So it's important that all that information looks professional, and QuoteWerks is going to help you do that. We're not just quotes. We can do content-rich proposals as well. So if you do quotes, if you do proposals, if you do both, then QuoteWerks would probably be a good fit for you. We're also able to electronically deliver and accept and receive payment through the document. So if you deliver a document to your client and you want to give them the option to make payment through it or just electronically sign, we do have that functionality available. We're also going to be able to track that information. So you're actually going to be able to see when the client reviews the document, when they accept it, when they make payment as well. We do integrate with a lot of the most popular CRMs and PSAs. Obviously today we're going to be talking about specifically Sugar. And any of you that are in the IT space, we do have integrations directly with the IT distributors such as Tech Data, Ingram Micro, Synex, D&H, Comstore, and there's a few other on the website listed as well. So we get this question a lot, is who uses QuoteWerks? Basically anyone that creates quotes or proposals. It's a very affordable software, very easy to use. So if you're creating line item quotes or custom proposals, you'll be able to use QuoteWerks. We also do have support for recurring revenue. So if you sell hardware as a service, software as a service, or even provide leasing options to your clients, that's something that you can do in QuoteWerks as well, something we'll be demonstrating today. So QuoteWerks and SugarCRM, how do we integrate? Well, first, we're going to create the document in QuoteWerks. We're going to create that content-rich proposal information. However, we're going to be able to leverage the Sugar contacts by essentially doing a live search and importing that contact into QuoteWerks. We're also going to be able to update the opportunity in Sugar with the information. We can create follow-up calls so you can stay on top of your documents in QuoteWerks and make sure that you're always following up on those. We're going to be able to deliver these documents to your client in a uniform proposal and quote. Like I said, again, you know, in marketing that's very big is keeping things branded, keeping things uniform across the company so that no matter how many reps you have in your company sending out documents, everyone is accessing the same information, everyone's accessing the same templates, so no matter who sends it, always looks like it's coming from the same company, so that's what you want. We're able to track your customer interaction, so when your client looks at a document, posts a comment, selects an option, makes payment, electronically signs off on it, you're going to receive notifications through Quote Valet, which is an add-on to QuoteWerks, so you'll actually be able to track all that information. We also do have expiring quotes and proposals, so you can actually track when a client expires or when their document's about to expire, so you can try to follow up on them before that happens and see if you can close the sale. We do offer a lot of reporting tools. A lot of you that are using Sugar, you may not need these, but they are available in QuoteWerks as well. So if you want to be able to see kind of, the open documents, any documents that have been converted to lost, run weekly or monthly, quarterly sales reports or anything like that, you're going to be able to do that in QuoteWerks as well. And for the IT companies out there, if you are placing orders with Tech Data, Ingram Micro, Synex, D&H, we can actually place those electronic orders directly through QuoteWerks, as well as track the order status information, so we can get the shipping information, serial numbers, and even mark the items as received. If you're using QuickBooks or Sage 50, the US edition, for your POs or just for your accounting, we do have direct integrations with them, so we can actually create purchase orders, or you can even create other documents inside those systems directly from QuoteWerks as well. So the workflow for QuoteWerks. So what we talked about is basically how to send the document from QuoteWerks to Sugar. Kind of, we created this diagram to make it just a little visually easier to understand kind of how that works. So the first step is going to be select your contact. Easy enough. There's going to be a live search where we search for that contact, pull them into QuoteWerks. The next one is simply building your document. Start selecting your products, your services, putting all that information, making any adjustments to it. You're just building the quote or proposal at this step. Next one is delivery. So now we're actually going to send the document to the customer. On the delivery, this is also where you're going to be able to include the tracking information, so you can actually see the customer's response time. So, if they review it for the first time, you'll get an email notification. If they already accept it, you'll get a notification for that step as well, which does bring us to the customer accepting it / making payments. So if you do accept credit card payments or PayPal, you'll receive notifications when that happens as well. Now, once that happens, we're actually going to update your opportunity in Sugar as one. We're going to say, hey, this opportunity is closed. The clients move forward. They're ready to, they accepted it. They're ready to move forward. Let's go ahead and mark this opportunity as one. We're going to do that for you automatically in QuoteWerks with our integration. Now, this will go to a little more of the IT side of things, so if you're not in IT, just bear with me for a couple minutes here. But on the IT side of things, this is where you're going to be able to check vendor pricing. So if pricing has changed, you can make sure it's right before you're actually placing the order. Then you can place the order in QuoteWerks with the 4 distributors that we support, as well as create the PO in QuickBooks or Sage 50 at this point. If any of you not in IT want to create the PO in QuickBooks or Sage 50, we do support that for you as well. So basically, you'll just be creating a purchase order document outside of those systems. We'll actually input it into those systems for you automatically. And then finally, you'll be able to track the order to delivery and fulfillment. If you are creating POs in QuoteWerks, whether you're in IT or not, you'll actually be able to mark items as received. You'll be able to put in tracking numbers, serial numbers. So you have kind of like a nice little area where you can track all the ordering information. So you'll have all that fulfillment information in your document. We have a ton of resources online. So if you do have questions, feel free to give us a call, send us an email. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have. If you like to learn things on your own, we have a lot of videos on the website that are very useful. They go through specific features. We have our help file, which is basically our user's manual, has every feature in QuoteWerks that you can imagine, so you can do a live search in there and look for specific features on keyword. We have these live and recorded webinars. So if you had to leave early today, or you're leaving early for another webinar, we'll post all these on the website so you'll have access to them. There's a users forum as well, so if you want to interact with other QuoteWerks users, that's a great place to post comments and just kind of see how other people are using the software. And then any of you that may be outside the U.S. and you want someone in your time zone, we do have partners all over the world that you can work with that provide additional services. I highly recommend any of you that have not downloaded the trial to go ahead and do that. It's a free 30-day trial. It's fully functional. So you can test out all the integrations with SugarCRM. You can test out the accounting integrations. If you use QuickBooks, if you use Sage 50 US Edition, you can test that out. If you're in IT and you're using the distributor, you can test out those integrations as well. We do offer free support during the trial. So if you have questions, give us a call, send us an email. Be happy to speak with you and answer any questions you may have. If you'd like a demonstration just for your company, we do offer those as well. You just need to speak with your product specialist about that. All right, so not too much there, not too much PowerPoint for you. So now we're going to go through the actual demonstration of the integration between QuoteWerks and Sugar. So I'm going to start here in QuoteWerks. You'll see we have 6 tabs. This is what we refer to as the quote workbook. So So if you read any of our documentation or speak with one of us and we reference the quote workbook, this is what we're talking about, are these 6 tabs. The document items tab is where you're going to have your products and services. So as you start to add items onto the document, they're going to show up here, and anything on this tab can be changed. So if you need to edit an item's description, quantity, price, cost, part number, anything like that, you can make those adjustments here. Additionally, all your columns can be changed too. So if you need to rename or modify or just kind of hide columns that you're not using, you'll be able to do that in the software as well. The Sold to, Shipped to tab is going to be your customer contact information. This is pulled directly from Sugar, so there's no need to run a sync or an import or anything like that. We're just going to do a live search to look for a contact and pull them into QuoteWerks. I'm going to demonstrate that here in just a minute. Your Sale Info tab is going to be your document-specific information. So this is where you'll have your document date set, the expiration date of the document, the sales rep, which is basically who has ownership of that document in QuoteWerks, and also where you can set your tax rate. There are also some additional fields if you have customer terms you want to reference or a customer PO number you want to enter, you can put that information on this tab. The Notes tab, this is a great place to put any notes about the document for your client. So on the left-hand side, we have our introduction and closing notes. So these are basically usually a couple sentences of information about the document, or maybe you're just thanking them, maybe they're ready to move forward or something, but you can put in notes here, and this is something the client's going to see. Now, the purchasing and internal notes can be used for internal use. So basically, these aren't shown to the customer by default. So if you do have information you want to put in a notes field, but you don't know anywhere to put it, this is a great time to use these fields. Customer won't see it, but it's good for you. So if you need to put a reminder in there about something that they asked about last time you spoke with them, you can reference it easily here. The Custom tab is used for any type of additional fields you need for your quote or proposal, but you don't see that field available currently. So in order to use these custom fields, this is going to be a site change in QuoteWerks, so just make sure that everyone is going to be using this. You can actually hold Control and double-click on the label name, and that will let you change the name of that field to whatever you like. So this allows you to customize QuoteWerks, substantially, really, because you're able to change these field names to your current sales process and verbiage that you're used to using. So QuoteWerks is designed to basically be inserted into your sales process and help you kind of streamline that, not just start from scratch or start over. It's also true in the Notes, Sale Info, and Sold to, Shipped to tabs. If you want to rename those or any fields on those or repurpose those, just hold Control, double-click. That'll make the change as well. And then finally, we have our Links tab, which has our linked resources here. The linked resources are any type of documents that you'd like to attach. So if you have a statement of work, Visio or CAD drawing, Excel spreadsheet, PowerPoint presentation, Excel document, Word document, PDF document, any type of document you want to attach to this specific quote or proposal that we're working on right now, you can attach here. You can either drag and drop it or click on the Add File Link button to navigate to the document that you want to link to. One thing to keep in mind is that if you do link to a document here, just know that we're not actually moving the document. We're simply linking to where it currently exists. So just keep that in mind. Up at the top, we have some toolbar shortcuts. We're not going to go through all of them, but just the major ones here. So your New button will obviously create a new blank document. It'll look exactly like this. Your Open icon is where you're going to search for your previously created document. So if you've created a document for your client, this is where you'll be able to search to find it. You'll be able to search by pretty much anything. You can search by the document name, the document number, the status of the document, is it open, is it closed, is it lost, that kind of thing. The sales rep that created it, the company, the contact it was created for, the date of the document, the expiration date of it, the last time it was changed, and even the a specific item in the document. So you can use one or multiple of these fields to create a filter list of a different list of items or different list of documents to search for in QuoteWerks. The save icon, this is obviously going to save your document in QuoteWerks. This is also what's going to trigger the integration with Sugar. So when you're ready to send the information from QuoteWerks to Sugar, it's going to be important that you obviously save your document, and when you do that, you'll see the SugarCRM integration will be available to you here. We'll go into a lot more detail on that here in just a minute. The revision icon is extremely useful for anyone that creates multiple revisions of the same document instead of having to do like a file copy or file save as. The revision icon will do that for you, and it'll assign a new document number so it's linked together. So if you create a new document, it'll add a -01 to the end of that document number when you click on revision, and it'll keep counting up. So the first revision would be the document number, then -01, then the document number, -02, and 03, and 04, and so on. You can view any of the revisions by clicking on the View menu, document revisions, and you'll have access to every revision of that original document. The deliver icon, this is where you're going to choose what the document's going to look like before you send it to the client. So this is where we're actually going to build out the output for the client, or the presentation document for the client. The dashboard icon is going to give you a couple different dashboard options. First one's going to be the My Summary. This is going to show you your quota for this month, if you've exceeded the quota or if you're under it, what that difference is. It's going to show you how many quotes you created this month, how many been converted to orders. Same thing for last month and 2 months ago. It'll also display your last 8 recent documents that you worked on. So if you made a modification or changed something in a document, this is where you can see that information. We'll also show you any quotes you have that are expiring within the next 7 days. So if you have any documents that are going to be expired within the next week, they'll actually show up here, and you'll be able to click on them similarly to the recent documents where they have a link, and you can click on that document, view it in QuoteWerks. The Opportunities dashboard is going to give you a little more information. In QuoteWerks, this is going to provide you with kind of like a forecast for this date range, typically this month, by user. So you can actually see how you're doing for the month, how many quotes were converted to lost, how many are still set as open, and how many you've closed so far. It'll again show your quota, and also your exceeded quota if you have, and then also your 4th quarter summary in this case, since we're in October. But if we were in a previous one, you can go back and see that information as well. So that all just kind of provides a little more in-depth information about how you're doing in QuoteWerks. We'll also display the top 5 closed documents in this specific date range, so the date range I've set here. Same thing for the top 5 open quotes. This is really nice because this gives you a chance to kind of follow up on any documents that are outstanding still, and kind of see if you get a chance to close them before the month ends, or before the documents expire. So also display your top 5 lost opportunities won by the dollar amount. Everything is going to be sorted by the dollar amount actually on this panel over on the right, except for the top 5 products won. This one is actually looking by quantity, so it's going to say you sold the most of this particular item. But if you look right below it, it actually shows you that you sold the most of this particular item by dollar value. So it just kind of breaks it up for you, so you can kind of see what's selling for that particular date range that you've set. QuoteValet is going to be our online delivery vehicle for QuoteWerks. This is what's going to allow you to get that customer interaction tracking information. So you'll be notified when a customer views a quote for the first time, accepts it, and makes payment. And then finally, your products icon. This is where your products and services are going to be stored in QuoteWerks. There's no list of products, or a limited number of products that you can store in QuoteWerks. So if you have multiple vendors, you can set them up in QuoteWerks just fine. And we'll go into a little more detail on that here in just a moment. All right, so that's a pretty good introduction. So let's go ahead and get started with creating a new document in QuoteWerks. So to start, we're going to start on the Sold to, Shipped to tab. The reason for this is we want to pull the contact from Sugar into our document and make sure that we're creating the opportunity for that particular contact. In order to do that, we're going to click on our magnifying glass. This is going to bring up our Lookup SugarCRM contact window. From here, I can search by account name, account phone, account first name, last name, phone number, name, and phone number. So in this case, we're just going to do account name. You'll also see there's a checkbox to display account contacts. So if you want to pull in a specific contact from an account, just make sure you leave that checked, and then you can do your search by account name. So I'm going to type in Aspire, which is our company, and it's going to return back all the results that match with that specific company. So in this case, I have a couple different contacts pulled in, and I'm going to go ahead and pull in Norm. That's who I want to quote this document out to. So I'll select Norm, and then I have the option for my Sold to, Shipped to, and Bill to fields. So my 3 buttons here correlates with my 3 fields here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it all, because I just want to use the same contact across all 3, and that'll populate it that way. So it makes it very easy to quickly populate all 3 fields at once. If you need a mix and match, if you're selling to one location, shipping to a different, and billing to a different, you can mix and match contacts and companies on the Sold to, Shipped to tab. That's fine. Just for our purposes, we're going to do just the one contact here. So now that I have my contact, I'm ready to start building my document in QuoteWerks. We have the ability to organize our document into different sections using what we call heading lines. So on this document item screen, if I right-click, there's an option that says Insert Heading. So this is how I can start to organize that document, not only for the client, but also for myself as the sales rep when I start to add products and services to here. So for my first description, let's just call it products. We're going to do very general heading line here. So we'll enter in one for products. Let's go ahead and do one more. And we're going to say services. And we'll add one final heading, and we'll call this one optional items. Just so if we wanted to provide some optional items to the client, we have that already set up on the document. So now that I have my heading lines on the document, I can start to add items to my quote or my proposal. Your heading line descriptions can be whatever you like. This is just what you want the client to see. So if you organize your document into different sections, maybe by different rooms, maybe say, you know, this is for room 1 and room 2, room 3, you can use them for that way. Maybe it's different phases of a project, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. However you want to organize it, it's going to be completely up to you. You can do it by item type like I did. You'll have a lot of options. It's going to be, like I said, up to you how you want to handle that. So let's go ahead and start adding some items to our document. So we're going to click on a products icon. So the first search I want to show you is going to be through Eatalize. Eatalize is where you can search for items from Tech Data, Ingram Micro, Synex, D&H, and there's a few other, but those are going to be the main 4. So if you're using any of those 4 distributors, you're going to want to use Eatalize, and this is why. This is going to let you search all 4 of those distributors' databases at one time. So instead of having to go to each website, look at those items, and compare pricing, you're actually going to be able to do that all from this screen. So for instance, if I wanted to say, you know what, I need to quote this customer a trip light switch, but I don't know which one. So I type into my search, trip light switch, hit enter on my keyboard, and then it'll go out and find any matches for this specific wording. So in this case, found 309 items. So I need to limit that a little more. What I'm going to do is I can use the categories, manufacturers, and features attributes list to kind of drill down to the exact item I'm looking for. So in my case, I know it's in the product family of, let's say, Net Commander. So I know it's a Net Commander trip light switch, and that's going to narrow my results down to 15 items. So that's a much more manageable list to actually find the item I want to quote from that list. And then I can go through and start looking at part numbers and say, okay, this part number here, I think we quote that one out a lot. Let me go ahead and select it. And once you select it, you'll see you have the product picture and the description here. And then there's a real-time button, which is this lightning bolt. And if you click on that, that'll actually give you the pricing and availability from the distributors listed here. It'll highlight in green your best cost, and in parentheses, it'll actually show you the availability of the warehouses from those distributors. Now, any of you that are in Canada, this will work the same way as well. We do support the Canadian distributors, same for here also. So in this case, D&H has the best price. So if I want to source it from D&H, I can double-click on it, and this will bring up my Add Item Assistant. The Add Item Assistant will allow me to make changes to this particular item before I add it to my quote or proposal. So if I want to change the quantity of the item, I can do that. Maybe I just want to quote out 2. So I'll just type in 2. You can also use the up and down arrows like I originally did. This is also where you can set your price. If you want to sell this item for $250, you can type that in. Any of you that mark up from cost, you say, we mark up all our hardware items or all our products 15% from cost. That would be M15, and you can see it calculates your price as you're doing that. We can also support margin. So if any of you quote products by margin saying, we need to make a 15 or 20% margin on this particular item, type in P for profit or points. That's the way I always remember it. And then you can type in the number. So let's say you want a 12% margin, be P12, and then that'll update your price here. Kind of a lot of information right there, but if you do forget our shortcuts, just click on the ellipsis button here, and this will let you choose if it's a markup, margin. You can even discount it from list if the list price is available. So we're just going to leave it at a 12% margin for this particular item. Now, if I've ever previously sold this particular part number to this specific item, I can actually check price history. So this is really helpful because it's going to allow you to stay very consistent with your pricing with your clients. If they had maybe they're doing a reorder for this particular item, instead of me having to go through their price history on each document, I can just load up the item and check the price history here, and I'd be able to see the customer's price, the quantity, the date it was sold, the cost, the modifier I used, the document it was in. All that information is going to be available right here. So it makes it very easy to stay consistent with my pricing at that point. Directly below is going to be the price history for this item. This would be anyone I've sold it to. So if I've ever sold this particular item to anybody, not just this client, but anybody, it'll actually show me my customer's price, the quantity, the date, the cost, modifier, all that information. So I can see here I have previously quoted it, and I can check pricing. Maybe I want to use the same modifier. Maybe in this case I'm going to leave it as is, but I would have that option to change it. So it just gives you more information before you even add it to the document. And then when you're ready to add it to your document, simply click on the drop down, And this is where those heading lines are very useful on the sales side of things. So I know on the tech or the customer side of things, very useful because it breaks it out for the client. But on the sales side of things, very useful because it breaks it out for the sales rep too. So as you're adding these items, you can actually say, okay, this is a product. Let's go and select products, click add, and then you can see there it adds it under our products section. You'll see there's a few other options here. We can actually check CDW, Newegg, Dell, ProVantage, and Staples online pricing. So if they sell this particular item, we can actually go out to their websites and see what they're currently selling this item at. And you can see there's quite a few of them available. And then I can actually source it from a different vendor if I wanted to. So if I wanted to source it from ProVantage instead because they have a better price, or CDW, I can do that. One thing to keep in mind is that the pricing from D&H, Synnex, Ingram Micro, and Tech Data is your consumer pricing. It's the same as if you logged in their website. CDW, Newegg, Dell, ProVantage, Staples, that's essentially list pricing. That's just like if you went to CDW.com and search for this item, that's the pricing you would get. So it's not going to take into account your account credentials. So just keep that in mind if you're going to use that feature. The Accessories tab will provide you with additional information about this particular item. So if you wanted to include, maybe there's a warranty that comes with it. So in this case, we have a services warranty. Maybe we want to offer the client the 2-year warranty, and we'll go ahead and get our pricing for that. And we'll source that from Tech Data. We can add it under services. And you can see once you kind of get the feel for QuoteWerks, very easy to select your item and then add it to the document. So I was just going a little bit slow in the beginning to kind of get you, help you get the hang of it, but you can see now, once you've found the items that you're looking for, very easy to locate them and then add them to the document for you. So you can see here, we're going to give the client the option between the 2-year or the 1-year warranty. We also have a Similar Items tab, Upsell Items tab. The Similar Items tab will show you additional items that are similar in functionality to your original item. So in this case, we're looking at this Trip Light 8-port switch. Here's an item that's similar in functionality. Typically, it's going to be similar in price. So if you wanted to give them a different option, have that available. Upsell will basically give you another version of the of that particular product. So if you are wanting to upsell them on a higher-end version of it, this is going to show you what's out there. So that's what the Upsell tab is going to do. It's basically going to give you the option to upsell the client. And then finally, you have your Spec Sheets tab, which is going to provide you with more technical information about this particular product or service. This is actually going to give you that information and show you if you want, if you want to include that technical information as an attachment on the quote to your client. You can add it very easily by clicking on this Add to Links tab, and then I'll attach it as a PDF on your Links tab document. All right, now, so for any of you that are not using Quote or Edelweiss, you can actually use QuoteWerks to manage your products as well. You can import a price list into QuoteWerks, and you can see here I have different databases available, and you can essentially create as many as you need. So basically, if you can get some type of CSV file or an Excel sheet or something like that, we can import directly that information directly into QuoteWerks, and you can manage your products and services here. The really nice thing about that is if you have your items in the database, you're obviously going to be able to set them up the way you like. So if you do have any recurring services that you offer, you can actually set that up. If you have labor or installation or anything like that, you can set it up so it's set as recurring in QuoteWerks as well. So if I go through my list here and maybe we'll select a couple items to add to our document, I'm just going to hold Control, and that'll let me highlight multiple items for the document, and then I can click on my Select Add option at the bottom. And again, this is just going to bring up our Add Item Assistant, and we can go through and start adding items into our document. Now we'll say this is an optional item, and we'll say this is optional, and we'll include this under Services, some licensing, and we'll include this one as well. So we got all our items on the document now. Now, once you have your items on the document, if you need to make any changes, this is the time to do that. If you double-click your description field, it'll actually show you the entire item's description. So if I wanted to shorten this description, I just want to call it, we'll just delete the second half of that description just to make it a little easier for the client to understand. I can do that. If you want to change price modifiers, you can do that as well. If you're looking at your hardware items here, your products, and you're saying, we really need a minimum of 15% margin on our hardware items. Well, how can you tell that in QuoteWerks? It's going to be very easy. If you highlight one item, it'll actually update and show you your profit margin in our totals for selected item box up at the top. If I hold Control and select another item, that'll appear, that'll actually update to both items that have been selected. So this gives me the option to quickly update these two items with a new price modifier. The way we do that, since they're highlighted, I'm going to right-click, choose Apply Price Modifier, and then I can set my margin. In this case, I'm going to set it for, let's do 14%, and then hit OK. And you can see it updates those two items with that profit new price modifier. Same thing goes with my services. If I said, my services at a minimum, I want a 15 or 18% margin. Right now it's at a 13%. So I'm going to highlight my services, apply price modifier, go to my margin, say I want an 18% margin on my services, and that'll update those items for me. Additionally, if you want to manually change an item's price, you can do that here as well. So if I just want to charge $250 instead of $242, I can type that in, and my new price is $250. So QuoteWerks is going to give you a lot of flexibility for changing things on the fly on a customer-by-customer basis or a quote-by-quote basis or a proposal basis. So every time you're creating a new document, once you have your items on this document item screen, you're going to be able to make any changes that you like. Now, there's a couple different things we want to do in here. I'm going to add a new heading line. I'm going to break out my warranty, my services. So instead of services, I'm going to call this one warranty. And then I'm going to add one for licensing. So we'll do, all right. That'll just make it a little easier to read when we send this to the client. So the first one, the warranty, I want to give my client the option between the 2-year or the 1 year. So let's go ahead and put the 1 year up front. And you can see that I can easily move items around the document just by dragging and dropping. So if you left click over here in this blue area, you can easily move your items around the document as needed by dragging and dropping. And you can even drop it in different sections. So if you do put an item, a product or service in the wrong section, it's easy enough to move them around. We do also support cut, copy, and paste on the document item screen as well. So if we go to this optional item and we right-click, it's going to be an option, and it's going to be our edit line attributes. The edit line attributes are how we determine what type of product or service this is in QuoteWerks. So first option is going to be, is this item optional, yes or no? Well, in our case, it's under our optional section, so we want to go ahead and flag it as optional. And when we do that, that'll actually show the client on the document that this item is optional. When you're using Quote Valet, it'll even provide a checkbox that the client can check to select or deselect this particular item. Now, I want this item included in my total, so if you're going to do that, you need to make sure you check that box for is selected. That just basically means, hey, it is optional, but it is selected, it is included in that quote total. If you need to change an item from taxable to non-taxable, this is where you can adjust the tax code. You can also hide individual items pricing. So if you don't want to show the individual pricing of an item, this is where you can make that change. Extremely useful for anyone that wants to group items together. Maybe you're selling items as a group or kit or bundle. Instead of having to show the individual prices of those items, you do have the option to hide the price for the client. Hide quantity, this is extremely useful if you offer any services that might be time-based. So if you have anything that's charged by the half hour or the hour, and you want to hide the quantity it's going to take, maybe it's going to take 10 hours of labor, but you don't want to show the client that. You just want to say, hey, this is going to be your labor charge. You're able to do that by changing this line attribute on this specific item. Print line, if you don't want the item to show at all, maybe you have items grouped together that you sell as a package deal. You don't want the client to see that, hey, this workstation comes with 15 components, but I don't want to show the client every component. You'll have the option to hide the ones you don't want to show. You can even hide all of them if you wanted to and just show them kind of like a subtotal saying, oh, this is our gold renewal and this is what it includes, or you can say, hey, this is our gold renewal and this is how much it is, and they wouldn't see any of the individual items. Print picture, if you're associating pictures with your items, whether through Edelweiss or manually in your database, you can choose whether or not the items will have pictures with them. And then if you have any recurring services, this is where you can set those items up. So if you have items that are monthly or quarterly or annual or anything like that, this is where you'll be able to set that as well. So we're going to go ahead and set our optional items here. And then for our warranty, we're actually going to set these up as what we call mutually exclusive. And when we set them up as mutually exclusive, that means that the client is going to have the option to choose between one or the other, but they can't choose both. They have to choose one, either the 1-year warranty or the 2-year warranty. So it's going to create a radial button in our Quote Valet document that the client can select. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And it's just saying that it's only going to select the first one, which is fine. And then for our licensing, let's say that our licensing is actually a recurring charge, and it's billed, let's say monthly. and we'll specify our dates here, saying it's good for a year. If you set anything as recurring, it'll actually total that amount for you in QuoteWerks at the bottom, so you'll actually be able to see what the recurring amount is going to be for those particular items. All right, so everything looks good. The last thing I wanted to mention on the document item screen is just a few other options if you wanted to make any additional changes. If you right-click, you'll see there's an option to insert a blank line. So if you ever need to add an item on the fly, this is how you can do that, is by inserting the blank line. Inserting a comment will basically let you put in more text about a specific line item in the document. You can also use it for spacing. There's no quantity associated with this item. There's no pricing associated with it. It's just going to be text that you can insert in any spot in the document. We also have the option to add % discount and % charge line items. % discount and % charge line items basically allow you to discount a certain percentage or charge a certain percentage on a single or multiple line items in the document, which is going to bring us to our next line, which is going to be our subtotal. So if I wanted to subtotal out maybe the different sections to my document, I can right-click on a line item and choose Add Subtotal, and it'll subtotal everything above it. So this makes it very easy if you wanted to kind of break out for the client saying, hey, this is what your hardware subtotal is going to be, or your product subtotal. This is what your warranty is going to be. This is what your services are going to be. This is what your optional items are going to subtotal as. You can run as many subtotal lines on the document as you'd like. You can even type in here. So if I wanted to call this my products subtotal, or maybe just call it my products total, I can make those changes, and that's something that can show on the document for the client. If I decide, you know what, I don't want to subtotal this out for them, I'm going to go ahead and delete this line. So I just hit delete on my keyboard, and then I can remove that from my document. So as you can see, it's very easy to make changes to the document as you're going through, as you're adding things. You can add, remove things as needed. So it's, again, going to offer you a lot of flexibility when you're making these changes. If I right-click, there's also an option to convert to group. And what this will do is allow me to sell items together as a package. So if I wanted to sell these two routers here, or switches rather, if I select them, right-click, and choose Convert to Group, this will let me group them together as a single item. So instead of sending them or selling them individually to a client, I can actually call this, maybe we're going to call this our network package or whatever you're selling, and then you'll see by default the pricing is grayed out. That means that the client won't see the pricing, they'll just see the total. Now they'll still see these two items, but I can even go into those line attributes that we talked about and actually hide the line item so the client would just see this. So again, you're going to be able to control exactly what the client sees when you're working with items in the document. If you want to remove items from a group, if you decide, I don't want to sell those items as a group, I want to sell them individually, just delete the header line, and your items go back to the way they were. So let's go ahead and we need to save our work at this point. We need to send everything over to Sugar. So let's go ahead and click on the Save icon. And this is where it's going to prompt you to integrate with Sugar. So you'll do everything in QuoteWerks up to this point, and then it's going to ask you, okay, are you ready to send this information over to Sugar? So the first option is going to be give your document a name. This is going to be important because it's just like if you're creating a Word or an Excel document, you always give it a file name. You just want to make sure you give it something, give it a name here that you would typically use or that you're going to recognize it. We use the naming convention of the company that we're selling to in today's date. You can change that if you like, but that's just what we're going to use for our purposes today. The document number will be assigned automatically by QuoteWerks, so you won't have to worry about managing document numbers. We're going to do that for you. The status of the document, just like opportunities in Sugar, QuoteWerks documents have statuses as well. So this is where you're setting that status. In our case, open is what we want to use. Project number, next available will be assigned for you automatically. However, if you want to change the project number, you do have that option. Project number is extremely useful if you have multiple quotes for the same project. If you're doing different phases, you can set a different project number for those documents, and then you'll be able to actually run a report or search on that project number and see which documents have been associated with it. And then down here, our SugarCRM integration. This is where you can link to a document in QuoteWerks. So basically, it's creating like a shortcut in Sugar, the linked document. We can also create that follow-up call, so you can set a reminder for yourself in Sugar to follow up on this document. And then also, obviously, creating that opportunity. If the opportunity already exists, we can attach to that opportunity as well. So let's go ahead and hit OK. So it's going to save our document in QuoteWerks first. You'll see there's our document name and then even our document number. And the first option is going to create that Sugar call. So we can actually put in the subject here, By default, it's going to use the document number and then our document name. So that's why, again, that document name is going to be important because a lot of that's going to transfer over into Sugar. So you want to make sure that you're aware of the naming convention you're going to use. You can set your start date and time, all the information. These are all Sugar fields, and you just set that information here and then hit save, and then it'll create that Sugar call in SugarCRM for you. The next step is going to be to create the new opportunity. Now, if you had previously created the opportunity, you can click on the drop-down list, and this will show you a list of those existing opportunities. So you can actually link to that opportunity and take it over. In our case, we're going to go ahead and create a brand new one. So we can set our type. I'll say it's existing business. Lead source, we'll just say existing customer. And then I can put any notes in here if I wanted to, change the sales stage, probability, expected close date, all that information here, and then hit save. And you can see it's going to save it over to Sugar. So let's go ahead and go into Sugar and view this opportunity. So if we go into our browser here, and let's go to our contacts. So we just created a new opportunity for our contact, and that was going to be Norm. So click on Norm. And we can go down here and we can see, okay, do we have any calls scheduled for him? And you'll see it just shows up right there. So there's our call that we just scheduled. And that's available for us to access. So if we need to mark it as completed or whatever we'd like, we can do that. Down here, you'll see the opportunities. So scroll down a little bit. You'll see here's the opportunity we just set. And we can even click on the opportunity, and that'll actually open up that opportunity in Sugar for us. So you'll see all the information that you need, the probability, all that stuff is flowing over directly from QuoteWerks to Sugar. So that's one of the really nice things about the integration is you don't really have to do anything with creating the information. Once you create it in QuoteWerks and you hit save, everything goes over to Sugar the way you need it to. So everything looks good. So let's go ahead and send this to the client. So to send it to the client, we're going to click on our deliver icon. And then this is where we're going to essentially build the document that we want to deliver. So the first option you have is a cover page. If you want to include a cover page document, are we sending a more proposal style document? Are we doing a simple quote? It's going to be up to you, but you can include a cover page here if you'd like. I already have one selected, but if I click on the drop down, I could select from a different list. So I have my cover page that I want to use. My next option is going to be my layout. I already have a layout selected because I've set a default, but if you wanted to change your layout, you do have that option. Additionally, you can attach additional layout documents. This is useful if you wanted to include maybe like just a line item information about your about the items in the document, and then we want to include maybe a summary of it. I can choose a summary layout, and that'll be part of my document now. So I can actually say, okay, here's a summary of everything that they're going to purchase. The next option is going to be the literature. Literature is going to be anything that the client receives on a regular basis. So if you have a warranty information or terms and conditions, anything that goes out on a regular basis, you want to go ahead and save that as a literature document. Literature document can be attached simply by checking the box next to the document you'd like to send. So it's going to be very simple. And you'll see here on your organizational pane on the right-hand side, everything will show up as you start making selections. Spec sheets will look very similar to the literature tab. So if you have any items that have spec sheet documents associated with them, those will be displayed here, and they'll have checkboxes next to them so that you can include them. And then anything that you've attached on the links tab, so if you remember we added this PDF to the links tab, we could choose to include it or not include it in our document. It's going to be up to you. Now in this pane, you're going to have the option to change the print order. So you can actually set which order you want the items to print in. So if maybe you want your support agreement to print first after the cover page and then the layout information, or you'd rather have the layout print first and then the summary and then your agreement, you'll be able to set the print order for all of these documents here. So everything looks good. So let's go ahead and preview our document. So we're going to click on Preview. And when we preview it, it's going to open up our document in our preview window. So this is going to be a breakdown of our document in QuoteWerks, so we can actually see what we're going to deliver to the client. The first page is just going to be a cover page, so we just have some macro information, who it's prepared for, document number, the document name, all that information. Next page, we just have an executive summary, so we have who the document was created for, our contact information on the document, and just some notes about the document as well. So we have just kind of, if you remember those introduction notes that we were using previously, those are set here as well. The next page is going to be our line item information. So this is actually where we're displaying the line item information in the document so the client can see exactly what they're purchasing, how much things cost, everything here. So you'll see all that information here, and it's broken down by the different sections for them, and you can see having those heading lines is very useful so the client can actually see, okay, these are our products, this is our warranty, and these are our optional items. And then we even have a solutions summary for them at the bottom. The next page is going to have the solution summary for them, which is going to kind of break down if they have anything that's recurring, what's the initial investment or the one-time purchase, how much the subtotal is, the shipping, if there's any tax, and then if anything is going to be billed monthly. In this case there is, so that's actually broken out for them. So we can break all that out, and that's what's going to be nice about having those separate layouts. And then our support agreement. So this is going to be that literature documentation that we attached. You can see here's the agreement, and it includes a page to even sign off on the document. So everything looks good with this document. We have two ways to deliver it. We can send it via email, which will just send a PDF version of the document, or we can send it electronically where the client can electronically sign and accept it. So to do that, we're actually going to click Close, and then the next step is going to be Upload to QuoteValet. And if any of you want to set up any kind of document approvals, you'll have that option. So if you want to require management approve a document before it's sent out to a client, you'll be able to set up different restrictions based on the price of items on the document or specific margins set for the documents as well. So we're ready to upload our document to QuoteValet. So let's go ahead and upload it here. You can see there is an option to view the PDF file. So if you forgot to preview it before you got this far, you can always view the PDF version. We're going to include a PDF version of the document to the client. So I'm going to click on Send Email first just to show you the email window. All this information is customizable, so if you want to change the text here, you can do that. But you can see here there's no attachment. All we're sending this client is a simple link. And the reason we do that is because that's going to be the QuoteValet tracked link. So if we email this to the client, it's actually going to open up their web browser and bring them to their quote. Now it's going to send me an email notifying me that I viewed the quote for the first time or that my client viewed the quote for the first time. So I actually received that notification. And the QuoteValet document, just like your QuoteWerks documents, are completely customizable. So you can make them look however you'd like. You can change colors, logos, format it however you like. It's up to you. But one of the really cool things about QuoteValet is we still attach that PDF version of the document. So if the client needs to print this off, or if you have those terms and conditions that they need to read, they can actually come click on the PDF document, and they can actually review it before signing off on it. And then if they have any questions about their items here, they can actually see the items. And here, this is one of my favorite features about QuoteValet, is the items become dynamic. They become something that the client can interact with, where they can actually choose, okay, you know what, I actually want the 2-year warranty, not the 1-year warranty, and I don't want either of these optional items. Click Update, and it'll actually update our total. Or if I go back and say, oh, we'll talk them into getting both optional items, we can choose Update, and it updates our total in real time. So it always keeps the pricing up to date, and the client can actually change it. You even have the option to give the client the option to change the quantity. So if you want them to be able to change the quantity of specific items, they'll be able to do that. And then down here, this is going to be the confirmation. This is where the client can sign off on the documents. Where when they're ready to move forward, they can agree to the terms and conditions, put in a PO number if they'd like. If they have any comments, they can put it in there, and then they can put in their printed name and sign off on the document, and then click to accept. And then this will send you the acceptance email. Now in QuoteWerks, what this is going to do is going to give us access to another tab. So if you remember, we talked about that document items tab, the sale info tab, sold to, shipped to tab, notes tab, custom tab. There's now a QuoteValet tab, and the QuoteValet tab is going to provide you with more information. You're actually going to see all the tracking information of this document. So you can actually see when they viewed it for the first time, if they viewed the PDF attachment, if they posted a comment, if they changed an option, if they viewed it for the third time, if they accepted it, whatever they've done, you'll see all that activity on the document right here. And then once they've accepted it, QuoteWerks will automatically want to convert this quote to an order. Now when we convert a quote to an order, we can do that under the File, Convert to Order menu. This is going to be very important. The reason for that is because converting the quote to an order is how we close a quote at QuoteWerks. This is how we say, okay, client found everything they're looking for, they're ready to move forward, go ahead and convert it to an order, or if they've done it through QuoteValet, it'll prompt you to actually convert it to an order. This is important because, one, not only are we going to close the document in QuoteWerks, this is also going to automatically trigger the integration with Sugar. So you can see here it's actually already working in the background, and it's going to prompt us to create or update that opportunity. So since we had already created it, we're going to have the option to update the opportunity as 1. So you can see here it's going to say, okay, close the existing SugarCRM opportunity as 1. It's already linked to it, so we don't have to do anything. Updates our sales stage as 1, and the probability is 100. All you have to do is click Save, and then it'll go ahead and update our opportunity as 1 in Sugar. So it's one of the really nice features that, again, all you're going to have to do when the client moves forward, you don't have to go into Sugar and then manually update it. Just go into QuoteWerks, convert to order, and it'll update it in Sugar automatically for you. Now, if any of you are using QuickBooks or Sage 50, we do have the option to export this document to QuickBooks as an estimate, sales order, or invoice. Same thing for Sage 50 users. We'll be able to send it over to Sage 50 as an estimate, or I'm sorry, as an invoice or sales order document. So you do have both of those options. So we got a couple questions in that I'm going to go over now, but that's basically the integration, in a kind of a short time frame. I hope it was helpful. If you do have questions about the Sugar integration, feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. Those of you that did post questions, I'm just going to stop the recording and answer those for you offline. So anyone that does have questions, feel free to send them over now. We'll take the last, probably 5 or 10 minutes and answer any questions that you guys do have. So I do appreciate everyone's time today, and if you do have any questions, let us know. We'll probably be sending out this recording in the next week or so everyone will get a copy of that. So again, thanks everyone for your time today, and have a great day.